Welcome to episode 2 of And Just Like Trash, the sarcastic review podcast where we dissect and mock every cringe-worthy moment of the Sex and the City revival, and just like that. I'm your host, Steve, and joining me is the fabulous Julia. In episode 2, Julia and I work on getting our rhythm down and end up talking a little bit longer about Carrie, Charlotte, Miranda, and all the others than we expected. Just a warning that this episode is about an hour long. We're working on making the format a little quicker for episode 3, but please do enjoy our banter about this, noteworthy show. So grab your Cosmos and prepare for the bizarre ride that was Season 2, Episode 2 of And Just Like That. Alright, thank you for coming back to join us again. This is Season 2, Episode 2 of the hit TV show, And Just Like That. And so we're gonna talk about episode 2 of this season.
We kind of jumped right in the first time, so let's just really quickly backtrack and talk about what we're doing.
Okay? Yeah. Let's
just to explain. I'm Julia, by the way, and this is Steven.
Hi, I'm Steven.
And we are your normal, I think, couple in that I love pop culture. I love all things pop culture. Steven reluctantly loves it, I feel like. And so when Sex and the City, came out with this continuation series, I was on board for it and absolutely hated the first season. I mean, I watched it because, it was fun to snark on it.
Right.
And then, one day Steven missed an episode of it and I just gave him a quick recap and he was, I think, in stitches the whole time that I was talking about what was going on.
It was way more entertaining than the actual program.
Yeah, there was a lot of colorful commentary. And so, he mentioned this, I think, to a couple people, what was going on. And they were like, well, you guys should, do a show about it, kind of recapping it. So I'm going to give you my perspective of what happened on the weekly episodes. And this week we got 2 episodes, but we only recorded the first one.
Right. So we have not done episode 2 yet.
So episode 2 was a ride, y'all.
Well, so we should talk a little bit about episode 1 because I did watch it.
Okay. Yeah, let's quickly recap that.
And after listening to Julia's recap, I watched it.
Mm-hmm. What'd you think?
I mean, it was...
How did I do?
Oh, I think you did a great job kind of telling the story. It was a bizarre ride, and the thing is,
you don't even know what's about to happen. But yes, continue.
Okay. Well, the thing is, and maybe I don't know, maybe they're going to go somewhere with it, but I felt like there is nothing. I guess it's the first episode. Everything was set up.
Yeah.
Right. Everything was just set up. So Carrie has her new boy toy.
Yeah, it's basically where we left you and where we currently are to bring you up to speed. Right.
And Miranda's Miranda feels like it's a different show. It's the Miranda and Che show, and the characters from Miranda and Che call and talk to Carrie Bradshaw, so that they're still part of this thing.
Right.
And then there's, of course,
Charlotte,
which there was really nothing with her character. She was like a stage prop. This episode, the episode 1, she tried really hard to be relevant. I felt like, but it just the only thing of relevance was the kind of weird situation with Harry going to the Met and all of that. But that was not.
Yeah, that was
not
her role was basically gaslighting Anthony and.
Oh my god! And by the way, I'm still Anthony got that was abuse.
Justice for Anthony.
Yes, I am. I'm telling you that the thing that blew me away was not you told me the story of it, was seeing how nonchalant.
Yeah.
And fuck you, buddy.
Yeah.
Carrie was when she called Anthony to say, you're not coming to
You're out.
She's like, bad news, sucker. Is what is, first of all, as I said, when you say, I'm not going to go to the Met because I'm going to, go meet my boyfriend's kid, then you gave up your ticket. You were in the room when Anthony said, great, I'll take your ticket. And that was decided. And she just like, well, I got pissed off at my boyfriend for living with his ex-wife. And like...
Yeah. Well, and the thing, too, that we all know, anybody that follows any bit of pop culture knows, Anna Wintour would never allow that. Guests at the Met Gala are approved. There have been instances where people, want to bring their spouses, and Anna says, oh, no, thank you. They're not posh enough to be here. They're not stylish, whatever it is, right? They could be controversial people, whatever. But Anna Wintour would never allow you to play a switcheroo.
Ticket switcheroo.
Yeah.
You don't get a +1.
Musical tickets. You're not going to a basement party at Johnny's house to have a beer. It was the fucking Met Gala, for God's sake.
Right. And you don't get an open +1.
Right. I was a little spicy about that after the fact. So, yeah. So, okay. So we're up to episode 2 now.
Yeah. So episode 2.
Yeah.
And there was the one thing in the episode 1 that you mentioned was the full frontal Cynthia Nixon.
Oh, yeah.
Which was like her flopping around on the floor like a fish that has been yanked out onto the pier. Like, that was like, I mean, it was kind of funny. It was like that's the only thing but it felt so contrived.
Yeah, it was cheap. It was, I felt like it was gratuitous. But I think that could be the season in a nutshell. That's what you describe it. And believe me when I tell you, it only gets worse.
Okay. Well,
you ready to dive into episode 2?
Yeah, let's get this.
So this time I actually took notes throughout the episode, which was funny. I had to like pause and, write down my thoughts. And there was a lot of swear words in it that I'll try to keep it clean and not do that. But there were many, many times during this episode, I was by myself, where I yelled out, oh my God, this show is trash. And it really is, because it's just so uninspired and lazy. And clearly, like, there hasn't been anybody that's written any kind of comedic show ever, right? Like, or a show, period, quite honestly. So there's 3, I think, issues at hand in episode 2. The first one, which pretty much dominates the episode, is, Carrie's a podcaster now. You knew that, right? So Carrie has...
What a loser.
Yeah, find something better to do.
Jesus, get a hobby.
And we start the episode off with her and her producer booty call, who we're going to start referring to as PBC. And she is recording commercials in her studio. Because, when you're a podcaster and you've arrived, people want to pay money to be, advertised on your podcast. And she's talking about, depression and getting help, whatever. And then it shifts to a brand that is talking about vaginal dryness and how this product that she's advertising is a suppository. And for being who she is, Miss Carrie Bradshaw, she is awfully pearl clutchy. Having been the best friend of Samantha Jones for God knows how many years, it was a little... I know that she's always been different, right? She's not as sexual or outward with her sexuality as Samantha was, but it was a little obnoxious how pearl clutchy she was about this commercial.
Right, and let's be clear that that's a medical situation. Sure. Like, that's not like getting. It's like, I don't know.
And again, the jokes,
kind of juvenile.
It is, and the jokes, like there was, hey ladies, have you ever had problems down there? And then they gave her a coupon code to use for her listeners, because that's a thing too on podcasts.
Oh yeah, absolutely, that is true.
And the coupon code was Vag in the City. And she was horrified. And
okay. I'm suddenly taking her. Well, I understand why she wouldn't be.
Sure. I was horrified for different reasons. Like, who writes this shit? But she was obviously like, I'm not going to say that. That's not who I am, blah, blah, blah. And we meet a girl named Chloe in this episode. And Chloe, I think, is the person... We don't really know who Chloe is. She's a gal that shows up in a wheelchair. That is very, I think, a very cartoonish interpretation of what a brash New Yorker would be. Like, every other word was the F word. It was, it was a little obnoxious. And she tells Carrie, that she just needs to suck it up and get this done. She worries that if Carrie starts turning her nose up at ads, it could be a sinking ship. Sex and the City, the podcast, could be a sinking ship. Now, this is foreshadowing, folks, for what's going to happen later in the episode that we'll come back to. And so Carrie starts complaining that she's done all the other things that she's asked about. She did the mental health. She held up a vegan purse. Her other purses in the closet won't talk to her. It was so annoying. So, cool. Okay, she doesn't want to talk about vaginal dryness, right? We then skip to fake Samantha, who, is we all know who fake Samantha is. She's the real estate mogul. And she is visiting her hairdresser, Juan Jose, who, again, is, perpetuating this trope of the token, ethnic hairdresser that's flamboyant and inappropriate. And, she sits down in his chair and he asks, "Are you ready for me to blow you?" And she's like, "Blow me," which, again, bleh, come on. That's lazy. That's just a stupid whatever. And that whole scene is so offensive because he starts asking her about the boyfriend, and offensive in that, like, really? I feel like it's insulting to the people watching the show.
Not offensive as in...
Oh, no. Not PC offensive, snowflake, I need a safe space. No, not like that. But just the stereotypes were just stupid. And he starts asking her about the boyfriend, and she starts giving him all the reasons why there's red flags. And he turns into my mother and starts talking about all the things that are wrong with her and how she, puts up her defenses too quickly and she sees red flags and, he's like yelling at her that's the reason why you're alone, which, I'm sorry, if you're going to call somebody out like that in a salon that's a paying customer, I don't care how long they've been going out to you, I would have cussed him out. I would not have sat there and she
would have, by the way.
Yeah, I would have. But to her credit, fake Samantha gets up and says she's leaving, and she's leaving forever, and this is over. And she says, "I pay you to blow me, not to shrink me." Which, okay.
Clever. So, I'm going to put that on a bumper
But I'll
sticker.
point out that she was the one that offered up what was happening in her personal life.
Right.
So clearly she wanted some sort of feedback. Whatever. Okay, so fake Samantha and Juan Jose, it's a whole thing. We go to California.
All right.
We're California dreaming in this next scene, but babes, let me just tell y'all, we just finished.
And I'm sorry I cut you off.
No, it's okay.
Let me point out, I did look it up. Sarah Ramirez does prefer they pronouns.
Okay.
In 2020, she came.
They
came out as she, they.
Yes.
They would prefer she, they. And then in the last year or so, they have updated all of their social profiles to say they, them, theirs. So.
Okay, so we're going to do our best here, folks.
We're going to do our best.
But sometimes I will correct myself at every turn, and apologies in advance. So, Miranda and Che, we're California dreaming. We just talked about, I pay you to blow me, not to shrink me.
Yes.
So the scene cuts to Miranda and her face firmly planted between Che's legs. And she and Che are enjoying what some might call an afternoon delight, maybe a mid-morning delight. I don't know. It's very startling, I should say, and not because she's giving her head, but just like, whoa. We just talked about hairdressers and blowouts and
now they're...
What is happening? And it's a pretty, I feel like, pretty good visual if you've never seen that in your adult life. So, okay. And in the middle of this, because it's a comedy, Che gets a phone call. And Miranda is doing what she calls some of her best work, but Che's like, "I gotta take it, it's my writer." And it cuts to the annoying writer that was in the last episode that was offended that Che didn't like the suggestions made for them about their wardrobe and whatever, and their heritage and all this. And they're talking about, the show. And honestly, it's so boring. I didn't care to really pay attention to the details. But Miranda keeps licking. Because, we've seen this somewhere before, right? To quote Taylor Swift, I've seen this film before. Yeah. And Che is, trying to get through this professional phone call while they're having oral performed on them. And they are, calling out in ecstasy of what's happening. And the writer thinks it's all about them.
While they're on the phone.
While they are on the phone.
They are.
Yes. And they're being told that they need to come to work because everybody hates what they've written so far. Okay. So she hangs up, but before she hangs up.
They hang up.
Before the writer, hangs up with Che.
Oh, okay.
We find out that Che has a dad in this pilot. Che Pasa. Che fucking Pasa, y'all. I don't even... You want to guess who her dad is? Or who their dad is? I'm sorry.
Who their dad is? I don't... Is it George Lopez?
No. It should have been...
I'm always looking for George Lopez.
It should have been George Lopez. But no. None other than Tony Danza. Tony Danza, who is Italian.
Tony Danza's
still alive.
I know that. I'm just saying, Tony Danza's gonna be playing their Mexican
Irish diva. I'll remind you is what their description of themselves is. Yes, Tony Danza will be their father. So we find that little tidbit out. And, Che is ranting to Miranda about how this is quickly turning into a show that's not Che Pasa, but is called You're a Good Queer Charlie Brown. I can't. So...
I could understand the frustration,
sure.
Right? They're
sure. But
trying...
Tony Danza, let's just let that marinate for a minute. Okay.
Does Tony Danza show up on the show?
Yes, he does.
All right.
Well,
this is ridiculous.
Well, you might not be glad you said that. But sure.
Well, I'm just saying, this is just so ridiculous. I'm
back in the studio with Carrie and PCB and Chloe. And Chloe continues to ride Carrie about the fact that she needs to record this commercial for this vaginal suppository. And again, I don't care. So the other chick that I don't care about, that's Charlotte's impressive documentarian friend, cuts to a scene of her and her daughter coming out of an elevator. She almost drops a cake that she's carrying, and they're stressing out because her mother-in-law is coming to visit. And once again, it's Bunny McDougal 2.0. You know, the snooty, uptight mother-in-law that doesn't approve of the daughter-in-law. There actually was a funny, and I say this not, I chuckled a little bit because the girl that I don't care about was wearing, this animal print combination that was very strange for an outfit. And the mother-in-law asked her if she had just finished up her afternoon matinee of The Lion King. And so that made me laugh because that was kind of funny. So Nana is how she's referred to in the rest of the show. But we do spend a bit of time talking about how the granddaughter of Nana, her hair is natural when we first see her in this scene. And her dad is adamant that they fix her hair because Nana doesn't like that kind of hair. Because
Nana doesn't like natural hair.
Right. She's all about appearances. She wants her to look, quote unquote, perfect. Which I found that to be, yikes. So yeah, there was a little bit of a yikes moment for me on that one. We head over to the Goldenblatt home at this point. And we find out that Charlotte's sweet little angel Lily, a.k.a. the girl that ruined Carrie Bradshaw's life, I said what I said, she absolutely did, has decided that she wants to be a singer, a pop singer.
Okay.
And she wants a new electric keyboard to help her take her music to the next level. Rock chimes in to say, Harry and Charlotte shouldn't buy her this keyboard. And Lily tells Rock, shoots back, I supported you when you were figuring out your identity. You need to stand with me on this. Rock reluctantly says, oh man, you're right. Okay, fine. So it's silly. But basically, there's this whole scene back and forth. The joke about Harry being the ATM, but, they ultimately say, sorry, Lils, if you want an electric keyboard, you need to save up your money. You need to figure it out. If you really want this electric piano. So then we move on to the professor, who's Miranda's new friend, the professor back home. And she is on the phone with her husband. Now, you'll remember that last episode, she tried to do a sexy time with her husband on FaceTime.
And there was another girl there, and he was...
Yes.
Yeah, that was...
Yeah, that was interesting. And she is talking to her husband, and her husband straight up admits during this phone call that he has thought about cheating on her. But that, he really wants to try to make it work with her. But it's kind of conditional, He really just wants her to keep thinking about having this baby that she's convinced she doesn't really want. They need a surrogate. That's the answer to everything, right? And so Lady I Don't Care About is like, so wait a minute, you're telling me that you're actually considering cheating on me? She's hung up on that detail, understandably so, as one should be.
Yeah.
The phone call ends with her basically telling her husband that she's getting rid of him. She hangs up on him. It's a whole thing. We're back in California, y'all. And we're back to Miranda's storyline of her alcoholism, which I'm glad they talked about it again because we didn't really talk about it last episode, I didn't think.
Oh, no, it didn't get covered at all. Yeah.
Yeah. So she is attending an AA meeting, and she introduces herself to the group and lets them know that she's new to California. She's, kind of finding her way around and trying to figure out how to fill her time because, she doesn't want to be idle and fall back into old patterns. It's a very quick blip of the meeting. And then afterwards, she's approached by a woman. I didn't get her name because, again, I don't care. We see this woman all of 5 seconds on the screen for the whole show. And she tells Miranda, hey, if you want to help, pass the time, I'm going to be cleaning up the beach this week with a group. And Miranda's like, an environmental group? And I'm thinking, okay, yeah, sure, And the lady's like, yeah, I can come pick you up. So there's this thing. They make plans. They're going to clean the beach. They're going to save the world. It's going to be great. And that's that scene. We're back with fake Samantha and Carrie. They're having drinks at a bar. And Carrie is getting the scoop from fake Samantha about the breakup with both Juan Jose and her beau, her smarmy beau. They talk about, each other and how they can't commit to things and how they, are basically, just impossible to do things with. And Carrie makes a quip about how for a long time, she wanted to rent a house in the Hamptons, but there was always something that stopped her. And then they take a cheap shot at Bethany Frankel because fake Samantha says, oh, like Bethany Frankel? Which, again, why are we talking about Bethany Frankel? For the record, I can't stand Bethany Frankel. I think she's... I don't remember who it's Bethany. She's Real Housewives of New York.
Oh.
Yeah, she's Skinny Girl Margarita.
Skinny Girl Margarita. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So they talk about her, they make they take that cheap shot of her, and it really was, stupid and pointless. And fake Samantha tells Carrie she thinks that her ex is a mooch, and that's really where the red flags are coming from. And then Carrie, lovely narcissistic Carrie, talks about the Vag commercial and starts complaining about how she doesn't want to do it. So then we leave those two, thankfully. We walk in on Lily recording her new music. Charlotte walks in to put laundry away, and she notices instantly that Lily has a new electric keyboard. And her mind immediately goes to, damn it, Harry, I told you this was not going to work. She needed to figure it out. And Lily very calmly informs her that Dad didn't buy it for me. I did what you told me to do. I figured it out. And I sold my clothes to a company called The Real Deal. which Charlotte mistakes for the real, and Lily corrects her and says, no, it's the real deal. And for those that don't know, the real is sort of a consignment for high-end luxury stuff. You know, you can buy purses and shoes and things like that.
So there is a thing called the real.
There is an actual thing called the real. But
so then why did they make it the real deal instead of the real? Is it that her stuff wasn't nice enough for the real?
Oh, hold on. Okay. Hold on. And so Charlotte, being Charlotte, because Charlotte this season has turned into more of a hot, dramatic, neurotic mess than she ever was before, drops her laundry, runs to Lily's closet, and it's practically empty. All of her clothes are gone. And Charlotte starts panicking because she realizes that a very sentimental pink Chanel dress is missing.
Oh.
Yeah. So Charlotte flips out and she's like talking about how she wants to sue these people and they took advantage of a minor and they came into the house. And that segues into the next scene where she's having lunch with Anthony and her impressive documentarian friend that I don't care about Lily selling her clothes that paid her cash, like a drug deal. And I'm like, sis, you don't know how drug deals work, clearly. I don't know how drug deals work either, but I'm pretty sure that, a consignment boutique.
Well, I mean, the thing about that joke that is so weird is that it's like that it's kind of like, ew, cash. It's like, I mean, cash is still,
king, as they say.
If I'm buying a car, I'm showing up with a lot of hundreds in my pocket because that's how you get a deal.
Yeah.
So, someone comes to my house and wants to buy my clothes with cash money.
Well, and by the way, that's usually how consignment works, right? They pay you cash or they give you a store credit. And, or unless you're selling things on like a Poshmark site or, Mercari or whatever.
Yeah.
So Charlotte's at lunch with those two folks and she starts ranting about the pink Chanel dress. Charlotte had bought this pink Chanel for Lily's first adult recital. And so it's very sentimental to Charlotte. And she continues ranting about how they took advantage of a minor child. They should get sued.
Well, by the way, you shouldn't, you should be careful with buying things of value from a minor because minors don't.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for all they knew, it could have been Charlotte's, right?
Yeah, right.
So then Anthony, being the voice of reason, and again, justice for Anthony. I think that out of anybody, Anthony has probably been the only character that has stayed true to his roots on Sex and the City, both with how he delivers his lines and some of the funny things that he gets to say. This was clumsy, but it was still funny. He basically tells Charlotte to chill out. Like, it's perfectly acceptable for a person to, return something that they don't like that's been gifted to them. And he gives an example of a pinky ring that Charlotte gave him for his 40th birthday.
Oh, boy.
Which Charlotte is horrified to discover that Anthony has returned. What do you mean you returned it? The beautiful ring with the ruby chip? And he's like, a pinky ring? He's like, what do I look like, a mob boss? It's not exactly something that you would wear. And I am with Anthony all the way. Although I do have a cautionary tale about getting rid of things that people gift you that one day I'll talk about. But just be careful with that.
Yeah.
And if you know, you know. But anyway, so then we go to another scene where Documentarian's husband is leaving their swanky, Fifth Avenue apartment. I guess that's where they live. I don't know. It kind of looks like Fifth Avenue. With his two little girls, and he's trying to hail a cab because they don't want to walk. Everybody's impeccably dressed. I feel like I need to point this out, right? We're on Fifth Avenue or Park or whatever, and it's this gorgeous black man, these two gorgeous, beautiful black children that are with him, and he's trying to hail a cab, and several pass him that have the lights on. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm not a native New Yorker, but I know that if a light is on, it means they're available. They should stop, right? So the implication after this next line by his daughter is uttered is that the cabs aren't stopping because he's black.
Sure.
Because the little girl says, gosh, I don't know what's happening. This never happens with Claire's daddy. Ugh.
Yeah.
I don't know who Claire's daddy is. Don't really care. But, again, it's this clumsy theme and attempt to deal with, social, racial injustices, and it just...
Well, that's the thing, is that this show, like loves to kind of inject itself into...
They like to play footsie with it.
Yeah, but it's not a serious show. Like the show is like kind of just, it's like a, this is a serious problem. This is a real problem. This is something that happens. But it just, like, this show is not gonna, this show is well,
this isn't, it's not, if you're gonna...
They're not gonna give this the seriousness and the weight that it needs.
Right. That it deserves. Yeah. I mean, it just, so, it ends up with the dad getting angry and going a little ham on the hood of one of the cabs, threatening to, like, call and report him. And as this is happening, Nana and her old lady gang of sorority sisters that are equally snooty, judgmental, are approaching the penthouse building. And one of them says very, rudely to Nana, "Is that your son beating on a cab?" And Nana pretends like, "I don't know who these people are. Those are not my people." And completely bypasses the little girl who's screaming, "Nana, Nana, hey, Nana!" And it's, again, super cringe. So we're back with Carrie and BCP.
So wait. So I want to make sure that we're clear here.
Yeah.
This important social issue was just used as a prop to make this man look bad in front of his mother.
Absolutely, yes.
So this was not like, okay, we're going to tackle this social issue. No. It was, we're going to use it as a staging for...
And as a joke. I mean, honestly, like a joke of, haha, I'm embarrassed and I'm just going to ignore my grandkids and my, to maintain appearances with my... Like, it was gross.
Yeah, that's not cool.
It wasn't cool. So we're back. We're back with BCP and Carrie, who I guess have finished their Thursday appointment. And BCP tells Carrie that, he's got to pull out his laptop and work on this commercial. Carrie is indignant that she has to deal with this after she's already been clear that she doesn't want to do it. He starts telling her, "Hey, maybe I can help you, write a commercial in your own words. Like, maybe we can come up with to just highlight the bullet points and maybe not be as awkward or have it feel as weird as you think it's going to feel." And sweet mother of God, it could not have been more cringe, the dialogue that they had back and forth about this. Like, it was...
And I haven't seen this, but I will point out that the dialogue in this show is just, like...
It's horrible.
It is...
It's tired.
It is not David Mamet.
No, it's not. And so there's this exchange where he finally says, "Hey, I have an idea. You'll say, you'll go from dry to wet ass pussy and sweet Jesus, what the fuck?" Like, he didn't say sweet Jesus, what the fuck. I said that because I was like, are you really invoking Cardi B right now? Are you really, like, that was so last year. And I understand, there's lapses, but really? That's what we went with? Like, no. And Carrie, of course...
Carrie is okay with this? Okay, thank you, because that would have been way off character for
Carrie
her.
was like, "I don't talk like that. I'm not, no." So, it was just... We needed something... something to sort of cleanse the palate, but sorry to tell y'all that's not what happened next, because we're back with the Goldenblatts. We cut to Charlotte, Harry, and Anthony in their dining room. Everybody's looking at their phones. Harry's eating dinner, and the children are nowhere to be found until Rock comes running into the dining room to announce that Lily requests their presence in one of the rooms in the penthouse to perform a short concert and test out some of the songs that she's been working on. Some of her songs that are next level. Lily.
Yes.
Lily, who ruined Carrie's life. She has turned into this sort of emo, angsty teenager, not the Park Avenue princess that she has played up until this point where, she ruined Carrie's life carrying Judith Lieber, where she's wearing Chanel, where she's playing Chopin on the piano. Oh, no. She is at her electric piano, wearing a beanie, looking like an extra out of an Olivia Rodrigo video. And she is singing a song that I think this scene was unintentionally funny because I think we're supposed to be like, oh, wow, Lily's really talented. And I will say, if the actress is the actress that's singing, she does have a lovely voice. But she's singing about privilege. The power of privilege. And how she doesn't know who she is. She's in a gilded cage. It's all very like, And again, Anthony comes in clutch with the zingers, calls her Lily Eilish, and it sent me. I was just like, yes, because I had originally thought, wow, Olivia Rodrigo, but no, Lily Eilish. Lily Eilish. That's what we're working with here. The power of privilege, y'all. Look for it on Apple Music. I don't know. So
I love it when because let's be clear, Harry is rich.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Harry and Charlotte are rich. I love it when the rich,
Oh yeah.
start.
Well, what's funny too is that I know that we've all met people in our lives that think that their children are like the most insanely talented children in the whole wide world, and to the average person, you're like,
okay, yeah.
That
was a song.
that is something. Yeah. To their credit, Harry and Charlotte did not fawn all over Gilded Cage.
Yes.
So there is that. And now we are back with, angry mother-in-law, snooty mother-in-law, and my guy that lost his shit on the cab. She comes in, she chastises him for banging on the taxi. She calls him the Pride of Morehouse. And again, I feel like this could have been a more powerful message about, the struggles that, and I'm being serious here. I'm not trying to be funny. The struggles and the injustices that marginalized communities face on the daily, just doing basic things and trying
regular
to
old things.
Yeah. This was a real opportunity, I feel like, for people that don't know what it's like for a mother of color to raise a black son, what that's like for them. Right?
Yeah.
They totally missed the mark. It was a very clumsy effort. And then documentarian comes in and reinforces that his mother is right, even though it pains her to admit that she was right. It just, again, totally missed the mark, I think. Guess what, guys? We're back with Che. And thankfully, we catch Che as they are saying, "You've all been great. Have a good night. Oh, but before I go, I want to introduce a special guest, a very special guest that is going to be part of my new pilot, Che Pasa. Che Pasa. I will never get over how awful that is. But they introduce Tony Danza to the crowd. The crowd goes wild. Tony Danza stands up. I am remarkably impressed at how good Tony Danza looks.
Oh yeah, I saw him recently. This cat's in good shape.
Well, he's Italian, right?
Yeah.
And usually us with a little melanin, we tend to preserve pretty well. He looks good. He comes on stage with Che, and we find Miranda at the back of the Comedy Store. Not sure if Che knows that they are there. Not sure if Miranda was invited. But she's standing back there, awkward as all get out, in the way of everybody that's trying to do their job or get to the bathroom. I don't fucking know. It's so dumb. And we're back with Carrie and BCP.
Wait, so that was the scene?
That was the scene. But I mean, we'll come back. We'll come back to that.
All right.
Back to Carrie and BCP. And BCP finally tells Carrie and her prissy, uptight self, look, not doing this commercial is a deal breaker. Like, you have to do it. You got to figure it out. You got to get over whatever this shit is that you've got going on. And
see, this is like really frustrating. Like, because
this is what's frustrating. Okay, continue. I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, like I said, this is, this product is for a medical condition, right? It's not like it's like ED, right? Like for
guess.
Men,
I mean,
right?
Yeah.
Like men have, those like. It seems like she's cheapening it. Like, she's like, ew, like, I don't want to talk about vaginas.
Yeah.
Like, you're a grown woman who has an article and now a podcast called Sex and the City, and a book, I believe,
And by the way, you are of menopausal age where vaginal dryness is a thing.
Yeah, and so it's like, it's not something that should be stigmatized. She's putting a stigma on a normal situation.
Mm-hmm.
And it just seems... I don't know. It's just so weird. And, the thing is that there are times when podcasters, not at this level of podcasting, but, podcasters and those types of people do have to decide, am I going to advertise for this product that I don't know about, I don't believe in, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I follow YouTubers who will say that they don't advertise for products that they don't use. If they don't use them, they will not advertise for them despite being offered. And they'll say, I've been offered by this one. I don't like this product. I'm not going to sell it on my channel. That I can kind of respect, but this is just like such a juvenile take on this concept.
It's lazy. It's lazy.
Lazy. Yeah,
it's
lazy.
So lazy. And so, they're struggling, and in the middle of this, Miranda calls. Just to check in with Carrie, I guess. They talk, it's so stupid. But it's basically a setup for Miranda to be on the phone as Che is walking up with Tony Danza. So that Miranda can say, oh my God, Che's bringing Tony Danza over to me, I gotta go. And Carrie talking about how fancy Miranda now is. Okay. So... she meets Tony Danza, and Tony Danza is Tony Danza. He's lovely, And he says, right out of the gate, hey, we should have dinner together, all of us, right? I think it'll be a lot of fun. How about tomorrow night? And Miranda instantly is like, yes, yes, yes. Che is like, sure, that sounds great. And, Tony's like, yeah, you in? And Miranda makes, again, the stupidest, laziest joke about, you're the boss.
Yeah, I'd make that joke, so I'm going to let it go.
Okay, well...
and I would have.
I know you would have. The king of dad jokes definitely would have. Then there's this whole interaction where Tony Danza tells Miranda that she is so cute, and then it's, but it is she, right? And so, there's this whole clumsy exchange about pronouns, which now I almost feel bad that I made that note, because I am obviously struggling in this department.
No, I think it's great. I think actually I haven't seen the scene. I'm actually kind of like that, because this is a conversation like people will get kind of mad at you if you put your pronouns up, and I'm traditionally male presenting. That's the way I look.
do it.
You're traditionally female presenting. Yeah. I put my pronouns out there not because I'm really worried about being misgendered, although I wouldn't want to be intentionally misgendered.
Sure.
With my voice, I have been called ma'am on cell phone calls and across at the drive-thru. And it's like it causes an eye roll every time. It would be great if when I pulled up they said, "Welcome to Taco Bell. What's your preferred pronouns? Yeah. And can I take your order, please?" Because then I would know they're going to say "sir" back to me instead of "ma'am." Yeah. But that aside, I think it's great that those of us who are in the privilege of, our pronouns matching and our physical presentation and all that, we should be having conversations about pronouns, because, that normalizes it. That makes it to where it's not a big deal for people who need to have that conversation to have it with,
No, I think it's important. I really do. And
so kudos to the show For having a conversation.
Tackling that. And actually, that is a very relatable scene. The dialogue was clumsy, but it was, I don't know, I'll be interested to see.
Well, they're going to be clumsy in everything they do. So,
yeah, but clumsy, not like, oh man, that's endearing clumsy, just kind of like, okay. So, anyway, back to Carrie and BCP. They're still talking about this commercial. She goes back after talking to Miranda. And finally, Carrie's like, fine, I'll do it. But I don't...
They're in bed right now.
They are in bed together, yes.
They're in bed post Thursday appointment.
Yes.
And...
Yes. They're having a conversation about
not about that, about this commercial.
This commercial and how it's going to be. But Carrie finally gives in and says, fine, I'll write it, but I need to be the one that writes it in my own voice, And she says, again, she tells BCP, thanks for the help, but my vagina needs to write its own monologue. Oh. Who is writing these jokes? Boo! Boo. Okay. So I guess Carrie writes the commercial because there's a scene of her at her computer and then she looks back at BCP and he's asleep and there looks like there's writing on the bed. I don't fucking know. Whatever. I am so bored. Fake Samantha is back and she comes crawling back to her stylist and, wanting to come back. Now, this is where it's completely unbelievable to me that this is a real life scenario. Maybe this is if you are independently wealthy and deal with these kinds of things, maybe you could chime in and tell me. But she just walked right up to this stylist who was working on a client to tell him that she was sorry and back and presented him with an expensive bottle of tequila. And he's like, what are you talking about? I wasn't, I try to tell everybody how to live their life and nobody listens to me. Well, probably because it's not appropriate.
Yeah.
But then, the most unbelievable thing about this whole scene is that Juan Jose sits her down to start blowing her, and she's gotten this awful blowout from a different salon, a cheap salon that she mentions, and he's blowing her hair out dry. I'm sorry, what? No, that's not usually how that goes down. But okay, whatever. That's probably the most unbelievable thing I saw in this episode. Hang in there, folks. We're getting there. Maybe. Okay, so I just realized that we are closing in on 50 minutes. So I'm going to wrap this up because there's still quite a bit to go. And I'm just going to give you the rundown. Charlotte and Carrie go to the Real Deal. They try to hunt down the pink Chanel. It's obnoxious. It's ridiculous. But in that, Charlotte realizes that really it's just Lily growing up. It's okay. It's part of life. She forgets about the pink Chanel. We move on. Whatever. It's fine. Miranda is at the beach, cleaning the beach, saving the planet. She's supposed to meet Che and Tony Danza for dinner. But whilst cleaning up the beach, and she gets a phone call from the professor, she ends up losing her phone after this conversation.
Oh, no.
She's, new in town. She got a ride there. And during all of this, she finds out that the lady that gave her a ride had to leave because there was some microaggression about a squishmallow. I don't know what that means. I don't want to know what that means. It's whatever. So basically, she starts digging through all the sea trash. She tries to find a way home. She calls Carrie in a panic because she realizes she doesn't know Che's number after borrowing a cell phone from some surfers. Carrie sends her Che's number. Miranda calls Che. Che freaks out. I can't come get you. It's rush hour. You're at the beach. I'll send somebody to come rescue you. So now we gotta wait. Let's see. So this is actually an important plot point. I'm going to spend a couple of minutes on this, but Miranda's rescue arrives in the form of a purple vintage pickup truck. There's a man driving this truck. Do you want to know who the man was?
Is it Tony Danza?
It is not Tony Danza.
Oh.
It is Lyle. Who is Lyle, you ask? Well, Lyle would be Che's current husband. Miranda doesn't know this, obviously.
Wait a second.
Yeah.
The Che that was like, whoa, I guess Lyle knows about this. So
Lyle knows what's up with Che.
But I think that at this point, Miranda should have been apprised of this situation.
Again, Che and Miranda's trope or not even trope, but the storyline of how Che is hiding something and is so mysterious and blah, blah, blah. We're going back to it again, right?
Yeah, I was like looking at something today, and I saw a thing from like season 1, episode 5, where someone was responding to it. And it was like, they're just making this Che person out as if they're just there to, hit it and quit it with Miranda, and that's kind of weird. And like they've like tried really hard to draw that storyline of, is Che just here to hit it and quit it, for like.
Well, I have a thought about
18 episodes.
I have a thought about that we'll cover at the end when we're done wrapping this up. So, meanwhile, Miranda tells Che that obviously Miranda's not going to make dinner with Tony Danza, and so Che goes to dinner with Tony Danza by themselves, just the two of them. And Tony drops a bit of a bombshell on Che to say, Che, I really love what you're doing with this project. He calls their project cute. But tells Che, I can't be Mexican in this show. I'm Italian. Nobody's ever going to buy that I'm Mexican. I'm getting backlash online. The Danza Lions, because apparently that's the hardcore group of Tony Danza fans. Who even knew that was a thing? Not me, but apparently it is. Say that, he can't portray himself as a Mexican. So he proposes to Che that they just change the whole background of who Che actually is. Not Mexican, Irish, American, but they're going to make their mother Mexican, but the mother's dead, and then make the abuelita be, I don't, it was so, again, like, what is happening? And Tony Danza has taken the liberty of going to the network and proposing this idea. So basically backing Che into a corner of, you're either going to go along with it and agree with Tony Danza, or you're going to risk getting Tony Danza canceled. So, dinner is obviously a disaster.
And Miranda was at this dinner.
No, Miranda was driving back from the beach in rush hour traffic with Lyle,
So Lyle and Miranda didn't make it in time so the dinner was just Che getting
basically told like, hey, this is how it's going to go down. One quick wrap up note.
So obviously this is not, this Che storyline is like so close to what happened to Margaret Cho on her show.
Yeah,
it's really. Like, I wonder if that's kind of inspired by it.
Maybe. But we're back just very quickly to wrap up Fake Samantha, who has decided to take back the smarmy boyfriend and, tell him that she overreacted. She just, has a lot of walls up and tries to have a moment with him. And he quickly shows his colors by asking her to invest in a nightclub opportunity that a friend of him has brought him. So basically confirming, yeah, he's just after your money. Whatever. We don't care. It's fine. It's whatever. We're back home with Miranda and Che, and Miranda is sitting out by the pool. Che comes home and says, you'll never believe what happened to me, when Miranda is sitting there looking obviously upset and distressed. Che's like, wait, what's that face? And Miranda's like, I don't know your phone number. Listen, bitch, nobody knows anybody's phone number, okay? The only phone number I know is yours. Yeah. I don't even know the phone numbers of my children. I mean, that is like, they're saved in my phone. I think I know Tori's, but if I had to call Nate without having my phone, I'd be screwed.
Yeah, I'm the same. I have been meaning to memorize his. I have Tori's memorized.
Yeah. And so, they start talking about just it's not a big deal, but Miranda is, feeling some kind of way. Che's answer is to shut her up by kissing her. So I have a theory about Che and Miranda that I read. Somebody else kind of had the same thought, which I think is interesting. But I believe that Che and Miranda are Big and Carrie 2.0. The gaslighting, the narcissism, the emotional unavailability from Che, the secrets, the whole, like, something's up, but we can't quite put our finger on it. Kind of feels like that. We'll see if that progresses as the season continues. Hey, we're back with Carrie and PCB. They're walking into work. And notice that there's a flurry of boxes and activities and people, and guess what? Guess what? The studios have apparently been sold because they're not making money. Sex and the City, the podcast, has been canceled. And Chloe, the aggressive, cartoonish New Yorker, producer, manager, whatever lady, is very happy to tell Carrie it's all her fault because she was such a prude and such a princess about her pussy that she wouldn't make the commercial.
Hey, if one...
Listen, you were already in trouble.
You were in trouble, yeah.
And so Carrie's like, oh, wow. And her and PCB are like in an elevator talking about Carrie's thinking maybe we can sell the podcast. He's like, nah, girl, it's too late. You've been canceled. Like, nobody's going to touch it. It's whatever. And then he tells Carrie he's not going to bang her anymore on Thursdays. And Carrie's like, what? Why? And he's like, well, you're really just interested in a Thursday appointment, and I really want something more. And so Carrie is gracious and accepting.
Yeah, I saw this one coming from, Fifth Avenue.
Yeah. And tells him, she understands, and she thanks him for the Sex in the City. My face.
That's the name of the show, guys.
Yeah. But if that wasn't clear to you, don't worry. Carrie explains it to you. Yeah. What? And that's where we end it. That's where we end it.
Carrie explained the joke. She said thanks for the Sex in the City.
And she goes, by the way, that was a double entendre. Yeah, no shit, Sherlock. No fucking shit. So anyway, now you're caught up. Episode 2, that's what happened. Che is still the worst character on this show.
Everybody hates Che. I want to love Che because
I want to love Che. I love the
Sarah
actress.
Ramirez.
The actor, yes.
So much.
Yes.
I thought they were my favorite part, really, of Grey's Anatomy. I really liked their character in Grey's Anatomy. Mail. And I think that scene in You Got Mail is hilarious. And when I saw them in Grey's Anatomy, I was like, that's from You've Got Mail. That's the cashier from You've Got Mail.
Yep.
Very small, quick scene, but
memorable.
Very memorable. I think that Julia and I must say Happy Thanksgiving back to each other.
This is a cash only line. And I can do that because I'm Hispanic, okay? So don't.
At Thanksgiving time, we say Happy Thanksgiving back all the time.
All the time, yep. Sure do.
So
now you're caught up, folks. Steve, you're caught up. I can't wait for you to watch this episode.
Yeah.
And let the people know your thoughts. Sorry we ran a little bit over.
Yeah, we're gonna see how we can get it,
Yeah, maybe just a recap of characters for next time, but
yeah, I don't I don't really care about the nobodies. I'm just like how do you?
Sometimes though, I feel like you got to bring them up. I don't know.
No. They're put them in the show. See, I saw that you and I we saw this together. The poster for the show.
Oh my god!
It had Carrie, Miranda, and Charlotte, which from my perspective, that's the show.
The show, yeah.
And then they included Che, which okay. But then they had all of the others, like as if they are all peer level, those.
No.
There were 7 women on the poster. As if
is Anthony on the poster?
No, Anthony's not on the poster.
Justice for Anthony.
Justice for Anthony. It was. I guess 6 women and Che, right? Mm-hmm. So we're on the poster. So they're trying to say that these people replaced Samantha as the core of the. I'm not with it. I'm pro Samantha 100%.
Listen, I've gone back this week and on TikTok they've started serving me. The algorithm has brought me to clips from various episodes of Sex and the City and the movies, and really Samantha is just
the whole.
She's iconic. She's irreplaceable. That show is a hot mess without her.
It really is.
So that's what we'll end it with.
Yeah.
We miss you, Kim Cattrall.
We miss Kim Cattrall. I know that she's supposed to show up at some point during the season. It's not going to be very
well. It's not going to be enough.
It's not going to be embedded.
And listen, girl, I get why you left. I do.
Yeah.
But that show is a disaster without you. You really did carry that show. So.
Yep.
No, that's a double entendre.
And with that, we'll let you go. Yeah. Thanks, everybody. We will see you next time. Thank you for joining us at And Just Like Trash. This was a Cheesin' with Steven production. Our hosts are Julia and Steven, audio editing by Steven, and our theme music is East Side Horns by Pecan Pie. Available on upbeat.io.